Hail Pandawan and journeyman walking that illustrated path. Good to talk to you again, and today I wanted to share with you the walkthrough art process that I use to come up with this picture from Conan-Battle of the Black Stone. It's an alternate cover, but I got to create a cover for Conan. Official Conan. Love it. The 5-year-old Sammy would be doing cartwheels. The 50-something-year-old Sammy tried doing cartwheels, and now I blew out a hip. Anyways, let's get started, okay? So we're going to... This is the finished product here, but we'll show you how we started off, right? So here, first page, a lot of little sketches, right? Little doodles, things like that. Kind of coming up with, what the tone is. I mean, it's a Conan cover. It has to show the Cimmerian in battle and surrounded by, in this image, it's the Picts, who are like this sort of savage tribe that Conan's people, the Cimmerians, have warred with for centuries. So I'm looking at some of these sketches. Let me get a little bit bigger brush here so you guys can see. So I'm like, okay, well, I think I like this one here. Now, the funny thing is it was between this one and this one, right? But also at the time, so boom, I like that one. I was working on some artwork for a Swiss metal band named Walrus, and I liked that picture, or that sketch. So I basically, as you can see, used that concept for this one right here. Obviously, I'm showing my hands turning around. This one's rotated around and stuff like that, but... yeah, check out Walrus if you like some traditional sounding heavy metal and the likes of, Judas Priest and classic 80s sort of new wave of British heavy metal. And it's, kind of power metal, that kind of stuff. So that's completely off the topic of Conan. So we're going to go back to the Son of Samaria. So I like this one here, circled in the red, for the Conan. So boom, here we go. And so I basically took that one and blew it up. So you can see it's really rough, right? Maybe the artist understands it, or maybe artists can kind of see it, but I know a lot of people are like, why is there just this floating circle here? What's this line? It's like, well, that's a head, that's an arm. That's, it's all very, when you blow up the thumbnails, they look like a wreck until you kind of polish them a little bit. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm starting to add areas where I'm like, okay, well, we got to fill out this area. This is a comic book, right? Got to fill this thing out. So I'm starting to put in some of the savage Picts that Conan's going to be battling. This one here is kind of falling back. They're all going to be, getting taken out by axe and sword of the Cimmerian. So again, still filling some stuff out. And there is the rough of the favorite son of Samaria right there, right? So from that, those loose sketches there, well, let's just do the Conan one. So there he is right there, and that's what it was drawn over. So you can see it's still kind of mirroring the lines, but I'm changing it around a bit to fill in the space. I actually, and you artists, you all know this, you lose a lot. Like there's some energy in this sketch, and then when I do it, it finally gets a little more stiff the more you refine it. So, but that's okay, because this one here, he's kind of hitting it. I wanted this one to feel like he's kind of standing on this pile. Right? I didn't want it to be, I wanted him to be like, he's like hammering down on these dudes. So here is a more final sketch. As you can see here, down here in the face, we fleshed that out and kind of changed it. And watch the evolution of this dude down in the corner here. He's going to be changing over the course of the video here. So once I finally got all the rough pencil shapes, and they're close enough, right? This guy almost looks like an orc face back there, huh? Well, I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm a 3-trick pony. They're good tricks. That guy looks cool back there too, just with the shadow face. Again, like as you watch the evolution of this image, things get more defined, but there's something about just the quick rawness of a sketch. And it's like that, even on the computer. This is, done on the computer, but you get that in your sketchbooks too, where it's the sketch has an energy to it. Okay, let's move forward. So now that I got the pencil lines done, now I start going in and doing the tones. This is just like a multiply layer. So I basically fill the layer with gray, and then I take a little bit lighter color and start adding in for the highlights, and then I take a little bit darker color, and you can start doing shadows. And this is like sort of the lengthy process. Like once the rough sketches are done, then you start getting into okay, now we got to make it all clean and all that. Now, if you look, see the dude's face here I was telling you about? how his evolution is changing. It just was, yeah, we had enough like just normal faces. I wanted to take this more into like sort of a my style. Like one of the things I always says, I never wanted to do a Conan piece at all because I don't want the way that I draw to influence, a piece of, literature from Conan. Conan should be the spirit that Robert E. Howard created Conan in. It doesn't need to be Warcraft meets Conan, which is what I felt I would be doing. But I was sticking a little too much to they're just like normal dudes. It's like, well, if they're just normal dudes, Conan's going to beat the shit out of them. So it's all right. Let's start adding some bone skull armor. It's still roughly, humanoid skulls. They're getting clay tablets of armor with the motif of the eye. If you notice here, that's a side view. That all, like the little symbols, are taking what's the symbol up here, which is actually, and it's up here on the little medallion type thing. But these pics are influenced by this sort of, the curse of the black stone, and the black stone symbol. That's the one they sent me. And then they had a smaller one for like an eyeball. And so I've been incorporating that, which is largely what I used to do in my work-based stuff. It's like if there's a symbol, put it everywhere, right? Like really, really play up that. Don't just have like a symbol on an e-pad and go, oh, look at that cool symbol. No one's going to see it. Put it everywhere, bedazzle those pics with the eye of corruption from the black stone. So, okay, I got that. And then I have the title dress, right? I think that's what it's called, but it's basically the title. It doesn't have the tagline or the sub headline, whatever it is, subtitle, about the black stone. But they sent me this, and these are all the various things of like, the green lines where it's going to get cut off, and the red line, you want to have most of your stuff in there and don't have anything important after the blue line, blah, blah, blah. It's all printing stuff. So basically I stuck to that. All the important things are kind of in there, and I think I move some things around just to keep it a little bit more centralized. So removing the title there. And now again, just diving forward, there's going to be some drastic kind of cuts because I can't save every little thing that I do. But as you see, this guy's starting to get a little bit more of a face. This guy's got the cool skull face now. This guy's head's just floating out of nowhere, so we'll monkey with that later. But you can start to see the shapes coming in a little bit better now. Conan's getting a little bit of underlighting. I don't want to do too much of that in this stage. I put it in there just so I would kind of remember, but I'd rather do that in the color stage. The black and white is really just supposed to be for kind of like the depth and the tones and things like that. I don't want to get too detailed on the black and white one as of yet. So here I am just going through, and then as you can see, I'm starting to get, as I just said, I don't want to get too detailed. Now I'm getting more detailed. I may be a hypocrite, but at least I'm hip. So yes, we got the eye motif there, and you can start to see it. Even there's a little tiny eye there. I'll add some. See, I'm starting to put in like, oh, now the eyes are going to be glowing. Now again, that's a Conan thing. They're not going to have that in standard Conan, but that's me, pushing some of my stuff on there. But I feel okay with it because it's not Conan. The Conan fights all sorts of magical and mystical, mythological creatures and stuff, but he should always be the big guy with the broken and chipped sword and all that, and the tattered cloak. He should never be wielding the magic sword of the elder. I mean, unless it's, I think Howard had some kind of stories where there was some sort of magic weapon, but he wasn't walking around like a D&D character, like a level 12 fighter with 20 different floating ion stones around his head. Look it up, nerds. So here we go. Now I'm starting to do coloring, right? And it's basically all one layer, and I'll go on like a multiply layer. This is for Photoshop, people who are not in the know, a multiply layer or a color layer, and I'll kind of start blocking in color. So as you can see, it's just all I am is putting colors over. It's almost like if you put a layer, a clear, piece of plastic or acetate over something, and then you're drawing on that. The underneath image doesn't get messed up really. Maybe some tones and stuff get messed up depending on the colors, but yeah. So putting in some color schemes there. I thought red and green might look kind of cool. And believe it or not, this is muted for my style. Those of you who've seen my artwork before or watched other videos, you know that I like to use almost every color in the crayon box, and it's like Screaming Neon Nightmare. That's a good name for a band, actually. So here we go with more of the colors, starting to bump them up. See, now the eyes of all the pics are starting to kind of glow. We're getting the glows going on, the little symbols and stuff. Still need to get that in there, but I've been holding off. And then right now, Conan's eyes are just like Wolverine eyes, pure, solid, no irises or, pupils or anything like that. But they're blue, and Conan is known for having icy blue eyes. Icy blue, he's so dashing with the dark hair. Now, that's the Sumerians. They have dark hair and blue or gray eyes is what they say. So here we go. I got tired of seeing just the green and red, and I decided to go with more of an orange and maybe a kind of a purplish red, bluish red. I basically wanted to contrast because I was working back here and I'm like, well, what am I going to draw back there? Is it just going to be muddy or fog? I'm like, the Sammy sensibilities started coming in. It's like, put everything on fire, lightning, fire. Basically, let's make this Conan still harken to the legend of our favorite Sumerian, but make it like a friggin' album cover, which is, I guess, kind of the way that I like to do things. So we started adding in the fire. The royal we at Samwise Studios. Samurai Studios. So see, I'm starting to get in there, get a little bit of the green. And that's another thing, too, because the glow's green, I didn't want the background to be green. So putting the green on this orange really looks kind of cool. It's contrasting colors, and it's ones that I don't really do. I did it with my art book, blatant plug, Brutal, The Art of Samwise. It was kind of orange and green, and it's a color scheme I don't really use. And it's funny, there was a barbarian on that cover as well. So, like I said, multiple trick pony. So as you can see, yes, now we're starting to get just polishing the details. I'm starting to get some of the lighting on the lower half of our favorite Sumerian. I'm cleaning up things. And now this guy back here looks super savage. He's like getting like his, funky teeth and glowing green eyes and all that. So it's just a slow process. Like once you get the artwork done, that's kind of the easy part. And then you have to actually walk through and finish everything. So here we go. Here now, Conan, he looks a little bit younger here than I would like. I should probably have gone through and, darkened the face a bit, made it a little bit more, roughed up, but I don't recall why I didn't do that, but I start adding a little bit more shading. That helps out. He still feels maybe a little too young. I ran into kind of a problem because if I scaled his head up, his body started feeling smaller. And if I shrunk it, then he started getting like orc proportions. And I guess finally at the end, I said, you know what? They asked me to do a artwork and tribute, or a cover for Conan because they like my art. So, okay, if I'm going to err on the side of something, maybe go a little bit more, a little bit of sort of the Sammy style on some of the Conan. Obviously, it's not as far as I would normally go if he was an orc or something like that. But this is, I guess, a human proportion, standard human proportion for me. And now you can see the stone is really starting to glow. We got the lightning coming back here. We got some of these cool Bob Ross mountains. That's exactly how I learned how to draw mountains as a kid. If you watch Bob Ross, there's nothing different really here other than his stuff looks a little bit cooler. Of course, he's drawn thousands of mountains, and at this point, I've probably drawn 100 in my career. And his costume, like I would have gone in and done things, but this was the style guide I got, and I wanted to stick as close to the style of the Conan character from the actual comic. I hate when you got this cover and he's got this cool battle helmet on and he's got all these weapons, and then inside, he's just a normal dude running around. It's like, no, I like the cover, whatever I'm working on, to look like what the image inside is. I hate that when I've got many comic books as a young kid where I was all looking forward to reading it and, checked out the cool cover, and then I opened it up and I'm like, oh, that's boring. All right. And so not a lot going on here different other than a few tweaks to sort of make everything warm, a little bit warmer where the fire is. I'm adding like little tiny details. No one would ever notice but the artist, probably. That almost sounded like Trump did it. No one would notice but the artist. So here we go. This is basically the final one. And there's the trade dress sort of on it to see how everything works out. I was able to keep the logo underneath the stuff. I think it might have gotten covered when they gave me when they used the real cover. But as you can see, Conan's basically the center of attention, and then these guys, they're there, but it's still focusing on the favorite son of Samaria there. And again, thanks to all the people there. Who is it? Heroic Signatures. Thanks to Titan for letting me do a Conan cover. It's something I had always dreamed of doing, and it was super great. I really appreciate it. Thanks for making a 5-year-old Sammy super happy, and a 50-something-year-old Sammy also happy as well. So that's it, Pandawans. If you're into stories and stuff like that, keep practicing your ABCs. Always be creating, because one day you never know what can happen, and you may be able to work on, if your favorite thing's Harry Potter, some Harry Potter stuff. And for me, it's always been Conan. Maybe next time it'll be doing an album cover for Man of War. You hear that, Eric Adams and Joey DeMaio? I'm ready to work. All right, Pandawans, remember your ABCs. Always be creating, and hail.